If you've ever felt extremely overwhelmed because you have so many different projects going on, you're managing things in your house, your family, you feel the anxiety creeping up in your neck and you cannot get a handle of it, I'm going to share what I basically call the grown-up calendar method, but I'm going to call it the clarity calendar because it is the method that my dad taught me when I was a kid. I have ADHD, so I'm very neurodivergent, so that means I am spinning a lot of plates at one time in my brain and in real life, and this is the method that I use when I call it sort of break in case of emergency. So I'm at a point right now where I have recently had to go. I'm literally in another country. I have houses to manage. I am in adulthood. I have work. I have dreams. I have hopes. And this is here to reprioritize and show me that it is possible using a calendar, plotting through time. And this is just what I do whenever I need to catch up and make sure that I'm back on track. To get started, you're going to need some materials. You're going to need a notebook. I like one that has a little bit more surface area. So this is a B6. This is the Stalogy notebook, but I also love like a Leuchtturm. You can use A5, whatever size works for you, but you just need pen and paper. You actually don't even really need a notebook. You just need something to write with. And then secondly, you're going to need to print out some calendars. You can just go online, find wherever like a free downloadable calendar, and I like to print them out, or you can actually just draw a calendar on like an external piece of paper, whatever is available to you, and you'll need a pen. And for me personally, I find that it's really helpful to have different colors because we're going to need to use these for different categories, and it just really helps to keep things all together. So what are we actually going to do? I first did this on TikTok, and I did a very, very in-depth video playlist of that, which you can go and look at, which takes this entire process and breaks it down as an example very, very granularly. But let's just start with the full picture to get you started. We are trying to take everything in our monkey brain and we are trying to put it into time. We are trying to show ourselves that it's possible, that it is actually feasible over 3 months, over 6 months. It's also trying to take all of the mundane, difficult things of everyday life and put it in a place that lives with us every single day and has a place to live with us even digitally. So the first step in all of this is the brain dump, which I'm sure you've done one. And when I say brain dump, I mean write out everything. I've gotten questions in the past of like, how much is too much? There's not too much because it's all particular to the person. Maybe you write down 20 things and that makes sense to you, but maybe you're the person who takes each of those tasks and breaks them down even smaller. As small as you can go is going to help you the most. There is a website called Goblin Tools where basically you can write a task, for example, and it'll help break it down for you. So you can use this during your brain dump if you find that it's really hard to figure out what those micro steps are. But that's what you're going to try to do with your brain dump. Get as granular as possible. Everything. I mean, everything that might pertain to your kids, your work, whatever is on your head, we need to get it out. Writing things down is super, super helpful because it helps just sort of externalize it. If you're not telling your therapist, at least tell a journal, at least tell a pen and paper, and that's what we're doing right now. After we have done the brain dump, we are then going to organize all of those things into 4 different categories. Then we're going to take some of those larger issues, things that are really stressing you out, and we're going to plot them on our calendar. Once we have plotted them on our calendar, we're then just going to take the sort of bite-sized day view of that, and then you can also put that in your digital systems. Okay, so taking 3 steps back, once we have the brain dump, what are the categories? And the categories are my personal categories that I think are super helpful, and I've named them as such. The first one is creative tasks. The second one is care tasks. The third one is mechanics. And the fourth one is sort of work and things that make you money. Creative tasks are the things that life is getting in the way of, whether that's your love of cooking and perfecting like a chocolate chip cookie recipe, but it could also be writing a book, for example. It could mean achieving something that's just going to feed you. It could mean actually starting a new career. It could mean going back to school, whatever feels like creative in kind of the artist way sense, in the sense that like we are all creative, that is where that lives. The second one, care tasks. Being neurodivergent ADHD, care tasks definitely fall off the wayside, whether that's changing doctors, booking a doctor's appointment, to everything which for some people might need to be as granular as like your skincare routine and when you need to do things. whatever feels like taking care of your body in a different way of filling that up. Maybe you need a reminder for something that you need to put on your arm. I don't know. Whatever a care task is that you're forgetting, put it there. And then the third one is mechanics. I like the word mechanics because I think that it's really what adulthood is. If you think about the inside of a machine, you think about all the cogs and the nuts and the bolts, and they're all like moving together, the mechanics of life. This category could mean family planning. If you have kids, you could put everything in there that feels like mechanics. It's really the kind of stuff that it's like, it's no fun to do, but you have to do it. Whatever that looks like for you, put that in there. It could mean everything from like a declutter to it could mean a weekly need of I need to throw the whites and all of our athletic clothes into the into the laundry in a certain way, okay? Whatever that looks like to you in your life, the stuff that is exhausting you, but you have to do. And the fourth one is work. Money-making pillar. Now, if you are self-employed, it's a good place to put that there, but a lot of people have maybe different income streams or work multiple jobs. You could put those in there. If you are working for a company, you might have your own like organizational system with them, whether that's Asana or Notion, etc., and that might live in one place. But there are certain tasks that you need to sort of get you there, like you're not going to show to the rest of the people that you work with, or you can bring those onto there, whatever you want to do, because whatever came out in the brain dump needs a place to live. And sometimes the back of your head is thinking about a big presentation you need to do for work in 3 weeks. Whenever a brain dump, we are going to put them into those categories. So you're going to rewrite your brain dump again, but as you are rewriting it and you're looking through the list, as you get to the creative, write your list in terms of priority. So starting on the creative list, what's your number one priority? What's your number two? Read through your brain dump. And this is where the highlighters come in handy because you can circle in different colors, you can highlight and group them, so rank them by priority and then group them or highlight them based on maybe they're part of the same project. So for example, if I'm going to use one from, let's go back a little bit. Okay, we're going to use something from my own life in July. So for example, in the creative tasks, I had them ranked, but then I used the color blue to show where it needed to be something that was actually on the computer. And one that I haven't done, which is rename my Substack. But I had another thing, which was actually having to do something with my content. And so I made everything that had a little blue line next to it. That was all about the computer. Now, when I went into the mechanics, for example, I'm going through my brain dump, I'm moving it over under a list titled mechanics. I actually had the color pink, which I was using for a big clear out. Now, I had gone quite granular in my brain dump and said, for example, not just like create a to sell pile, but one, I needed to find a box to put my things in the to sell pile. I needed to find a box to put for the donate things or bags. And I made that actually on my mechanics list and I circled them as pink. So I had it all in terms of priority and then I went through and said, okay, later down the list, because first I got to find the boxes, then it was actually selecting things, organizing the bags, moving things from the bedroom to the basement. That is how granular I went, but I could understand when I just looking at the mechanics, what each of those, let's call them like sub-projects were. And I find this helpful. If that is not helpful to you, you can totally disregard it. But for me, having sort of grouping things was really helpful when I'm picking what mechanics and what tasks to do when I'm starting to plan out my things on the day-to-day. So once we've organized everything into those 4 different categories, we're going to just go straight into the calendar method before we go into the daily part, because that's a lot easier. The calendar method are the things that are really, really weighing you down, big projects. So for example, in this one, I was doing a large partnership and I had a lot of moving parts that had to be done with it. So I had used the calendar method in order to break down that whole project, which had a deadline, and I sort of worked my way backwards so that I could see what it looked like in terms of time and space, that it was all doable. And anything that was really important as a deadline, I then added, once I'd broken that whole project down, into a digital space. But say, for example, this is a great place if you, for your creative tasks, you're going to pick like maybe the first one to plot out, like maybe you want to write a book and you want to get to your first chapter because that's the first part. Write chapter 1, write chapter 2, write chapter 3. How do you get chapter 1? Maybe you've already done the character work, but to get to chapter 1, you need to write 2,000 words to get a first draft, okay? Or you might want to dedicate your time. This is all based on your personal preferences and practices in life, but say this person only has kids, a family, and work, and they only have the weekends to do that. Sundays are busy, so really Saturday is the only way to do it. But if they wanted to show themselves that it's possible and they wanted to get a first draft by the middle of June, they could do it. And the way that they could do that is then say, okay, I have these 2 Saturdays. What am I going to do in order to make the most of my time? I'm going to block out 2.5 hours each Saturday in order to achieve that. Now, if by that time I have chapter 1 and I need to write a 10-chapter book, that means literally in 20 weekends, I would have my entire book done. And if you want to print out more calendars, go ahead, do it. Go crazy. Show yourself that the things that are important in your life and overwhelming you are possible. Now, in the work pillar, remember I mentioned that somebody might have a presentation. This is a really good place to put this. I use this method specifically because I had a lot of schoolwork when my dad was helping me, and I had tests and I had this and I had all these subjects and I couldn't figure out how to manage it all. And I just needed to see it. I was like, oh, I have a math test in 2 weeks and I have a paper that's due in 3 weeks. Put all the deadlines in there and work your way backwards. So if you have a paper that's 10 pages and you need to write, a page a day and you have 2 weeks, you have plenty of time. That's going to turn the things that are overwhelming you into something manageable. And the whole practice of this is that, of course, life will get in the way. You might not keep this habit, but you might. The biggest thing is reducing your anxiety and your overwhelm by showing you that these things are possible in time and space. So on this one, like this, for example, I planned out a lot of the 2 weeks, and then the rest of this I actually just used colors and highlighters and was like, well, this is where this would go, and this is where this would go, and this is where this video has to go. It's so helpful. I even was able to put in different times for a vacation to know when I had off. It's just showing you what your life could look like in the next 3 months of you achieving these things that are stressing you out. So now that you have planned out those things on your calendar, you might have actually put that into a digital calendar. That's a good time to do it, especially if you're just working on one project at a time and you're like, great, I can get this all done. So now that you've done the calendar and you've planned out your book, you've planned out your work presentation, the big things that are really important, we're just going to plan out for 3 days. And then I'm going to show you sort of the daily habit so that this continues to roll on. Now, I only say plan out 3 days because you want to give yourself confidence. What you're going to do is for the next 3 days, right now, you're just going to pick 3 of those mechanics tasks lists, and you're just going to write them on the calendar within the first 3 days, wherever you are. So say this, for example, is July. Say it was July 13th. I'm just going to write out 3 mechanics tasks on the paper, 13th, 14th, 15th. Now, I've said 5 in the past, but I think it depends on the person and how granular you get with what those mechanics tasks are. So, for example, the closet clean out was like, get a box and write to sell. Get another box and write to donate. Get another box and write for trash. I could definitely do that in probably 10 minutes. And I might want to add 2 more, totally a personal preference, but just pick low-hanging fruit to give yourself confidence and get things moving, and plan those out for 3 days on your paper calendar. And adding in your care tasks and adding in anything else that's really important for work, just for 3 days. Just put, okay, if I could do these things for the next 3 days, I'll start to feel a little bit better. Whatever is going to make you feel good. And remember, you probably can do less than you think you can do, which is why I say just reel it back and remember that you're looking at time and it will all get done. Unless there's a deadline, then you need to prioritize that. So once you've planned out those 3 days, now I'm just going to show you what the daily habit is for me personally. I really have thought about turning this all digital, but for example, this is from July. What I do is on a blank piece of paper, at the top, I'll write my 3 mechanics tasks, and I'll write the care tasks, the create tasks, whatever it was that you needed to plot out for those 3 days, and that's where they're going to live. So first thing in the morning, I have that there. And this is kind of the hard part. So I loved bullet journaling, and I found that it was really, really helpful for me because rewriting your things every day helps you remember them. And then also you tend to remember things that you might need to add. Now we have this brain dump of tasks that we did, which is literally like a library. The beauty of this is that if you fall off the horse, you always have that brain dump to go back to. So I had appendicitis recently and had surgery, couldn't lift, couldn't do anything. And I had to stop. My whole life had to pause. All the planning had to pause. But I had that brain dump, so I was really just able to revisit the brain dump and then add things, remove things because they weren't necessary anymore. And I plotted out another thing on a calendar, and I just got right back into this daily habit. So on the daily, you write your 3 tasks, whatever the care task is, whatever the creative task is, whatever is scheduled, and then you're going to rewrite into those 4 quadrants those tasks. Now, the reason that I've thought about doing this digital is because it'd be great if it like automatically pulled from your brain dump and put it on the page, because depending on how big your paper is, you're really not going to be able to fit everything on that brain dump potentially. But this is sort of as you go. Keep it as a little flagged part in your notebook and flip back and add if you start to just move up and finish all those mechanics tasks, you can replenish it, I bet you. And on this daily habit is the perfect time to schedule out things. So you can put a time for it, especially the mechanics. I find that for me personally, a lot of things tend to get in the way in daily life, and I can really only plan that morning because certain things can pop up. And that's why I encourage you to then take this, what we've already written everything out, we know what's coming, we got the whole picture, and go ahead. So once you've planned those 3 days, I would then look back at the mechanics. I'd then pick those 3 tasks. You can do it on each little paper, like in your notebook. You can write the 3, flip a page, write the 3, flip a page, write the 3, and have it be done. And so this is really where this comes down to personal preference, how it wants to live with your digital systems and what you want to take back. But the most important part is that we're keeping things top of mind, and we're selecting things and making sure that we are keeping this sort of second brain of our to-do list all stocked, and it is externalized. I think the best part about this is that the first time that you do this, it is a bit time consuming, but you do feel better by just having everything out there. And it's not that you're just doing a brain dump and then what's next, is that you're showing yourself how to do it within time, and then you have sort of a daily reminder. And if you're the kind of person that when you wake up in the morning, you sort of jump into the first thing that pops into your head, this is a great way of like reorienting your ship to the things that like the higher version self of you that was doing this brain dump said, no, this is the priority. So for my kind of neurodivergent monkey mind, this really helped calm my nerves. And also just like when managing so many different things, I didn't have to rely on me seeing everything. I relied on the version of me that saw everything, but went through it one at a time. And so you do this once and you can keep it up, but remember that if it stops, you can just always come back to that brain dump, rewrite what you wrote the last time that you did it in your notebook, and then just add and remember that you're just going to pick 3 a day and you will get right back on the horse. And that if you have new projects or new things that overwhelm you, just print out or draw your calendar and plot those things and show yourself that it's actually possible. I have a full playlist on my TikTok that goes through this in a really, really in-depth way, which I would like to make into another longer form video. But give me a follow if you like these kinds of tips, because I really think that I'll start sharing all the things that have helped me sort of manage life.